Hi, this is Pamela Biasca-Losada. Welcome to a special edition of Mindfulness Inspiration. And I'm here with Dr. Limor Glazer to assist me today because she has such a wonderful story and it's a very powerful message that she has, and I want to bring it all to you as well. So today is all about self-care and what happens when you don't take appropriate care of yourself and you tend to help everybody else first, and just put yourself always on the back burner. And I'm so happy to have you, Limor, with me today. And I want to share something before we start. And the thing I want to share is related to how we met. Limor and I actually met a couple of months ago at an event where it was all about making a vision board. So I have Limor's vision board here with me, and you can have a peek. I'm gonna put it closer. And the reason we connected afterwards is because at the end of that event, the facilitator asked some of us who wanted to share their vision boards, and both Limor and I actually took up on that invitation and we shared our stories. And then we realized how close of a story we actually have. And that's how we came together and we met afterwards, and how this video is also part of it as well, as a result of it. And hopefully we are able to inspire you today. That's our intention. And if you have any questions afterwards, feel free to reach out. But let's get started. So Limor, can you share a little bit more about your vision board?
Sure. On the night that we made vision boards with several women, most of the other women made vision boards, as I did, about the vision of what they were hoping to be doing in their near future and in their further future, but what they saw that they wanted to be concentrating on. And most of the women in the room were young professionals who were looking forward to starting a career, flourishing, building their careers, making connections. And I personally was different than many of them because in my stage in my life, I had already done a lot of what women in the room were setting their goals to do. I had already had a 25-year career and my schooling and my connections, and due to circumstances of health issues that I had to deal with without any choice, I had to stunt my career and stop working. And so I realized that my goals, unlike theirs, were more focused on health, my getting better, my taking control of my life, and my enjoying life, and my dealing with my day-to-day activities. And I felt a little guilty that my children did not even make it to the board. I love my children. I take care of my children, but I know I've done that well. What I haven't done well is concentrate on myself. And so what I geared my vision board toward was getting healthy. To live your best life. I thought these were lines that came true to what I needed to do. Feeling good. Be the boss of yourself, of your body. Be the boss of your body is a big one, because when I was diagnosed with cancer, I realized that there was a lot that was not in my control. The only thing that was in my control was what I could do for myself. A good friend had recommended that I start taking control of what I ate and what I did with my body. And it's a long struggle to do that when you haven't done that for so many years. Cooking, I want to learn more cooking in my future. I want to sit down and smell the roses. I chose a picture with a cup of coffee because I've never sat down and enjoyed a cup of coffee. I guzzle and run because that was my life. Run, run, run. And I also put a picture of my dog because I've spent a lot of time enjoying my dog, watching my dog eat. I never had time for that. And I put a picture of a couple because in life being busy as it is, and work, I couldn't not work. I couldn't not take care of my kids. I couldn't not do the day-to-day things that we all have to do, but things got left out. I didn't make time to have nice times just with my husband, which now I'm concentrating more on doing. And I'm really doing all of these things for myself. I've taken care of my parents. I've taken care of my children. I've taken care of my work. I've taken care of my house. But now it's going to be more what's good for me and what do I need? Because in my story, I believe strongly that because I was so busy taking care of everyone else, I let go of the taking care of myself. I let go of sleeping. I let go of eating right, drinking, going to the bathroom. I didn't make any time for myself, up to the point that everything was cut short from my diagnosis, because it came like a bang to the head of, oh my gosh, I've got to stop what I'm doing. There's no choice now. And what Pamela was talking about was years ago, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, and that did not stop me one bit. I worked until the day I had to stop working, and I went directly back to work, even though I didn't even have a voice for a few weeks. I had to have interpreters speak to my patients. I'm a surgeon, so I had to have interpreters speaking to my patients. I just didn't stop. But this time, when I was diagnosed, and I was diagnosed February 27th of 2016, at that point in my life, I had up to here with everything being at its most difficult. I had a child who was going to college, my first one. That was very stressful because I was going through all the things for the first time of what do you need to do. I was working very hard in my practice. We did not have an office manager. A lot of those duties fell on myself. I had 2 partners, and the day-to-day struggles of things that go on in an office and paying bills, a lot of that rested on my shoulders as we divided up our responsibilities. Children, husband, and at that point, my parents were aging. What I remember is saying to several of my doctors, as I went through my treatment, I said, cancer is nothing compared to aging parents. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot to have teenagers. It's a lot to have a husband. It's a lot to have a job where you are on. I was on weekends. I was on evenings. I was making rounds at the different hospitals in town. It's a lot to have aging parents. Aging parents is a huge responsibility.
It is, yeah.
And there was a lot going on, and what I wasn't doing was sleeping. I was coming home and I was doing my electronic work, my computer work at home, because I wanted to be the kind of doctor that looked a patient in the face. And I just did everything I had to do for everyone, but did not eat right, did not sleep, did not take care of my own body. I was too busy taking care of everyone else. And I firmly believe that is part of what got me run down, and that's part of why I ended up being sick. Yeah. And it's a big lesson to learn.
Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing all of this. As you can see and hear, she definitely had a lot going on, a lot on her plate, and the impact in a negative way that it had on her health, overall health. Can you go a little bit more into when you mentioned that your first wake-up call was thyroid cancer, and that's how our story are related, because I was diagnosed with cancer, thyroid cancer as well. And the difference though is that for me that was the first and only wake-up call I've ever got, and then my life kind of shifted from there, taking more care of myself at more of a radical self-care, as I call it, path and journey that leads me to who I am today, and helping clients as well achieve that. But in your scenario, this was your first wake-up call, but you didn't really, as you mentioned before, you didn't, almost like kind of ignored it. It was like one thing, just let's almost like another thing on your plate, but let's table it. Let's move on. So what happens next?
So that's exactly how I saw it. It was not, unfortunately, it was not a wake-up call for me at all. I saw it as, oh, there's a car parked in front of me, I'll have to go around it. I didn't see it at all as a responsibility that I had to listen to my body, to listen to what was going on, and to change. And unfortunately, that is, I had young children. There's no excuse, because you can get sick at any point of your life. No children, no husband, single, 2 children, 10 children, but whatever stage it is, you have to make the time for yourself. And I'm saying that because I did not. When I was diagnosed, my concern was, how much time do I have to miss from work? And I remember telling patients, well, I don't know if I can do surgery for a few weeks. I don't know when I can. My only focus was work and children and moving forward. And that was a mistake, because years went by and I continued that lifestyle. And I actually, when I think back, I had a feeling that I wasn't well. And not that my situation was breast cancer, and breast cancer is not usually, it's a silent thing that's going on, but I had a feeling that I wasn't well, that I wasn't in a good place. And I went to my doctor, I went to my family doctor, and I said to her, I'm not feeling well. I don't know what it is. I said to her, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just feel like something's not right, and I haven't had a physical in a long time, and I'm a little scared. I feel like something's wrong. And unfortunately for me, my doctor was not a good listener at that time. I think there were things going on in the practice, and whatever the reason, she just said, maybe you should try exercising. She did not listen well to me. And instead of saying, that's not good, she's not listening, I was angry, and I didn't do anything for a few months. And eventually I went to my gynecologist, my OBGYN, and she's a good listener. And she said, let's get you a mammogram. Let's see what's going on. And that's when I was diagnosed from a routine mammogram. There was nothing palpable. There was nothing, no signs otherwise. But my lesson from that was, and it was only a few months, but I did switch doctors since then. And even as a doctor, I realized that a person can have an off day, or a person can just not know you. I mean, doctors today, with healthcare changes, it's not as personal as it used to be. And so now if my doctor is not listening to me, then I'm going to put a sign up and say, I have something important to say. You need to listen to me. And if they don't, then switch doctors, because you have to have a relationship with your doctor. They can't help you if you don't tell them, and you can't. It's a relationship. A doctor-patient relationship is very important, and wherever the fault is, you have to have great communication, and that's what I have now. And I'm so much more calm that I have a good relationship with my doctor. I know she's listening to me, and it's a better place.
Yeah, and I can feel that. It's really like something so important, because, one thing is like being aware of what's going on with yourself and actually trusting that. So I honor you for, at the time, to really realizing, well, there's something that doesn't feel quite right. But instead of just dismissing it, which is kind of what you usually would do, like, well, whatever, I just focus on work and children and all of that, you actually took the step and took the time to go to your physician. And I think that's also a great, that's an awesome place to be. But then the other piece is when you don't feel like you are listened, you don't feel like you're just heard. The people, being heard, exactly. Or you don't feel like people get you, or the physician gets you, exactly. And then, because then you're at the point where you're crossroaded. Either you say, well, let's talk to somebody else. Or some people, they just feel like, oh, well, if the physician says, just like in your case, exercise, maybe that's what I do. Maybe what I was feeling, it's not really, maybe I just made it in my mind. I mean, you just start, losing confidence in yourself as well. And more often than not, you would go the path, which is not the path that serves you. So I appreciate you for sharing your experience in that regards as well, because it's so important that we actually first honor our instincts and our intuition and actually listen. And that's a process. In my past also was not listening to it. So I get where you were coming from as well. And then when you start actually saying, no, I think there's something off here. So let's dig deeper, right? And maybe you need some help to figure that out. But it's like, and then, when you're at the point where you're aware, really just make sure you get the right support. And you might have to shop around to find the right support, because not everybody's a good fit, no matter what the background professionally is. So take responsibility for your own health, because you're the one that ultimately is making the decision on your body. And yes, you need the support of others, but you are the one that are making it. You have to find the place and the environment and the person and the physicians if you need them. Anything you need around you needs to be a good fit. And just don't stop until you find that good fit. And sometimes it's a shorter route, sometimes it's a longer route, but it's all worth at the end, right?
It's true, and it's something that I've learned, and it happens to be that I have a medical background, but even if your background has nothing to do with any medical knowledge, you have to be in touch with your own body, and you have to be in touch with your mind also, and where you might not be healthy and where you might need help. And very, very important to know yourself and to examine yourself and examine your body. You notice something new, you notice any changes, you have to be in tune with them. I remember years ago, and this is, I don't even know if I shared this with you, but I had a small mole on my back that didn't look like anything, and I was vigilant, and I went to the dermatologist. That I did do, and it ended up being a melanoma, and it was taken out. And I remember the doctor saying to me, and the doctor is someone who I know personally, he said, "How long has that been there?" And I remember my answer to him was, I wouldn't know if there was a rat sitting on my back. Somebody would have to say, "Limor, did you know that there's a rat that's been hanging on your back wherever you go?" And I'd say, "Really? There's a rat?" I didn't notice anything. I just went fast as I could just to get to my tasks that I was looking at. I didn't sit down and really take time just for myself, a bath, a nap, looking at my fingers, polishing my nails. I just did the bare minimum of what I had to do to be clean, to be moving, but no time to rest, no time, no mindfulness, zero pleasure for myself, zero time to enjoy day-to-day life. And that has changed a lot since then, because I realize now how much I should have been doing that.
Yeah.
And had I done that more, life would have been better for me for many years.
Yeah. So, and I think that's an important piece too, because, like Limor was sharing, is like, it took her quite some time to get to the point of figuring it all out, but it's never too late to do it, right? So it's not that like, okay, I messed it up, I could have done this and this, but it's just now I'm doing it because now I'm important, and now I feel like that's my health and my, in order to be even around the people I love and I care about, it needs to be important. So I need to be taking care of myself. So, thank you for sharing that. And we both come also from a background where we really were a lot of, we had a tendency to take care of everybody else's first. And that's what it happens. And no matter what it is, big or small, you just put yourself last all the time. And that, if you lack of self-care in general, you will have to pay for it. It's just a matter, it's not about really if you're gonna pay for it, if you're not taking care of yourself, it's just when you're gonna pay for it. So that's where you have to look at it. It's nobody is spared. It can show up not just health-wise, but it will show up in your relationship, in your career, in your performance, in so many ways, or in all these areas. And so it's really a matter of when it shows up. So I invite you to be inspired by Limor's story and to really start doing something about it, because you all have the potential to take better care of yourself no matter what challenges are coming up or what life throws at you. Everybody goes through phases, everybody has challenges, but it's just about, no matter what happens, put your self-care first, because everything else will be also easier. It looks easier, you're less stressed, and it's really good in just in general. I mean, your whole outlook in life is so much better, and you really have a more joyful, it's not just about helping, doing. It's about actually being more mindful and enjoy life and living a fulfilling, healthy life.
And in my past, the only time I had enjoyment of my family, my day, morning till night, would have been if I was away on vacation. Yeah. My day-to-day was stressful, and I needed to go away to relax. And really, the day-to-day has to be a better quality.
Yeah.
I do want to share one more thing.
Yeah,
That
sure.
I wish that I was as good and fast a learner as Pamela, because that would have been much better for me. Unfortunately for me, I don't learn quickly, and I fall into my old patterns. And even now, what happens to me is I need reminders constantly. I'm seeing, I'm reading books and I'm getting reminders, and I even have physical reminders I have to put around the house besides my baseboard to remind myself to do for myself. I fell into the pattern after my treatment. I was diagnosed with, as I said, an aggressive breast cancer, triple negative breast cancer that had already spread to my nodes, and I had a lot of treatment over a period of over a year, and still have some treatment now because I have complications. And I tend to, instead of looking at what I have lost and what I cannot do anymore with my hands, with my mind, I'm not the same quality that I was before, but what I'm concentrating on is what I can do and what I can do now for myself. And even now I fall into the same patterns. When I'm speaking with my girlfriends, I realize that I am volunteering, which is wonderful, but I started spending so much time helping other people again that I was taking that time away from what I needed to do for myself first. And I fell into the same patterns. My personal story is that right after my treatment, actually still within my treatment, not even right after, I had 6 months of chemotherapy. I had double mastectomy. All of my nodes were removed. I had lymphedema. I had neuropathy. I had all kinds of problems from the physical degree of surgery and chemotherapy that I needed, and radiation. And then I had radiation after that. And then I needed more surgery. And 2 weeks in, no, let me back up. My radiation had ended, and soon after that, my father became suddenly blind and needed extreme help that my mother wasn't able to cope with. And then my parents' health had fallen downhill, and they needed help. And that was very hard, and I needed to look for resources to help them. And then after that, my brother suddenly passed away, 56 years old, and he's a great example of a Glazer that didn't take care of themselves. He took care of
that.
I learned a little bit from him. I learned a lot from him. And that was 2 weeks after my reconstructive surgery that was in New York. And then I had to move my parents for the fourth time in 18 months. So I had so much going on that I had to do, and I fell right back into that pattern of not taking care of myself. So
and with that said, I mean, it's like it's very easy really to go back to those patterns. And I think when you shared, you wish you would learn as fast, it's not really about learning. It's like I had a lot of support. I invested a lot of time and money to be who I am, and so a lot of money and time in self-care, in coaches, in self-development. I mean, all this didn't happen overnight, and didn't happen just like that. Like there was an investment on many levels in order to make that happen. And I think that's what people need to understand too. Like we all have the potential, but you need the support. I mean, you really need the support. And I would not be here where I'm today. Yes, I was the initiator in believing in myself and self-care and investing. But at the end of the day, I had the support around me that I picked and make sure it was a good fit in order to make that happen. And that's something I want to leave you with as well. It's like, if you feel like you're struggling, you're taking care of everybody else's, you're kind of at the point where it shows up with health issues, or maybe you want to prevent from health issues from showing up after hearing us talking, because again, lack of self-care will show up in a negative way with big signs or smaller signs over time within your body and mind. So make sure to reach out. I offer also a Prioritize You Breakthrough call, which is actually a complimentary call with no obligation. There will be two outcomes that I'm going to share though. It's either After conversation, I will be able to help you and put self-care back in your agenda long term, and learning all the strategy to keep that in that way so you're not falling off track. And if you do, which we are all humans, will can happen, you have all the strategies to put put yourself back on really fast. If that's the scenario that I can help, I will give you some options how it will look like, and you can make a decision. Or if I'm not the best fit for you, you might need to go in another direction. I will point you in another direction so you actually know what to do. And it could be another resource, it could be another practitioner, or a combination of those things. So you don't feel like you don't know what to do next after we had that conversation.
I underestimated. Yes. I underestimated the need for getting myself help.
Yeah.
I underestimated it huge, and I paid a price. And in the short time that I know you, in just these couple of months, I've learned so much from Pamela, and I wish that I had invested earlier what I'm now learning to do. Yeah. So it's I wish that I had. And why didn't I? You can say it's cultural, you can say it's personality. It's certainly within my family that we do for everyone, and my children didn't see me doing for myself things and time for myself. And I wish that I had invested in the time and in the resources that I needed to get before I got sick. Yeah. And it's very, very important not to wait till you have to, but to live a healthy life day to day. And I've learned it now. And it's not too late.
As I said, it's never too late. Yeah. And that's important for you to know as well, because, sometimes we are at the place where we, like similar to Limor's story, like where there's so much going on, so much has happened. And yes, we wish things would have been different or would have done something different. But at the end of the day, this is kind of the past. And now we have to look at now and the future, how we're going to want to be in the future. Like, do we want to keep going like we have, or we just say no more? This is a must now to put self-care as a priority. And so for those of you who are in a similar story or a similar situation like Limor, don't feel like there's a dead end. There is still hope. There's still ways to reverse a lot of the things, and just make sure that the rest of your life is actually gonna look really positively. So there is always hope for everybody, and there's ways to get there. So don't get discouraged if you feel like, oh, I should have done this or that and now it's too late. It's not too late. It's never too late. So that's a good thing for those who want to prevent. Great. If you start earlier, the better. But it's never too late for those of you who feel like are in a similar situation like Limor, or maybe people that are in a similar situation as well. It's never too late. It's just up to you to make the decision how you want to move forward and which way you want to go. It's up to you.
I heard for so many years, I heard the old cliche that you cannot help other people if you don't help yourself. The oxygen metaphor of you're on the plane and you're with a young child and the plane loses oxygenation and the little oxygen masks come down, that you need to put it on yourself before you put it on your child. You can't help anyone else till you help yourself. And I just, I've heard that too many years. I finally get it. Finally get it, and it's 100% true. Because the more I take care of myself, the better I am at doing all my other tasks and living a healthier and a more meaningful life.
Yeah, well, thank you. Those was great words to say and to share with our audience for the end of this video. And thank you so much for participating and sharing your story to the extent you did. I appreciate it. And I want to leave you with a couple of words from a meditation I sometimes do, it's a guided meditation by Fuzzy that you can find also on YouTube. And it says, so have the courage today to choose yourself, to go for yourself, to say what you really mean, to speak up, and basically to move closer to who you really are. And with that said, I wish you a wonderful day and see you soon on another video. Take care. Bye bye.